At the beginning of the film, we observe an auction, which is conducted by the unsurpassed Virgil Oldman. The manager of the auction house is quite rich and famous. While inspecting the valuables, Virgil discovers a strange piece of wood. The man believes it may be an antique miniature. On his birthday, Virgil hides his gray hair, puts on one of his suits, and goes to a restaurant. The guests often glance at the manager, especially when the waiters bring him a small cake, according to the recipe of the Renaissance. After the party, Virgil receives a lot of presents. The manager treats them rather dismissively and answers the phone. A girl speaks to Virgil and tells him that she would like to have an appraisal done on the furniture and paintings she inherited from her parents. The manager recognizes the caller's name, Claire. Virgil refuses to do the appraisal himself, but the girl insists on it, because her father thought that he was the best appraiser in the world. During the auction, someone, Billy Whistler, buys the portrait for $20,000. Then, Virgil talks to his friend. It turns out that Benny and the manager have been running a similar scam for a long time. They deliberately set a low initial price and almost for nothing get portraits and paintings that are actually worth millions. Billy gets paid handsomely, and Virgil gets the portraits themselves. Returning home, the manager takes another trophy to his secret room full of artwork. The next day at work, Virgil has a quarrel with a customer. As agreed, the manager came to Claire's house for an assessment and waited uselessly for 40 minutes. The girl apologizes and explains that she had an accident and was unconscious. Virgil agrees to the next appointment. In the afternoon, the manager evaluates the found miniature and declares that it is the work of Viviante, a female copyist, which can be understood by the glare in the shape of the letter B, because women in the 17th century were forbidden to leave their signatures on paintings. In the evening, Virgil visits Claire's house, but the girl herself is not there. In the basement, the manager discovers a strange thing. While analyzing the paintings, Virgil suddenly realizes that he has a detail of the famous inventor Vaucanson in front of him. The manager calls Claire, wanting to meet her. However, the girl is very nervous and refuses. During the valuation of the property, Virgil realizes that Claire is in the house, but for some strange reason is hiding from him. In the afternoon, the sale of the miniature takes place. Bill loses his grip, causing the painting to be given to another lady for $90,000. Virgil is furious, for it was an original worth about $6 million. In the evening, the manager calls Claire, and the girl says she has to cancel the deal. From an acquaintance of the girl's parents, Virgil learns that Claire suffers from a strange illness, because of which she hardly ever sees anyone. The manager finds some more parts of the mechanism, which also belong to Vaucanson, where his personal signature is found. The assistant says that he can use the parts to assemble Vaucanson's unique toy, an automaton that could even answer questions. However, this requires 80% of the parts. Virgil receives a call from Claire and an invitation to her parents' villa. The girl confesses that since the age of 15, she has hardly left her secret room in the house. Claire says that she doesn't like to be in the company of people, and compares it to the fact that the manager doesn't want to touch them, and therefore always wears gloves. The girl asks to leave the contract on the table, and tomorrow, Virgil finds it signed. The manager leaves, taking another mechanical part with him. Virgil talks to the assistant again, and says that they can get an incredibly large sum for the collected automaton. The next day, the inventory of Claire's belongings takes place again. Virgil talks to the girl through the door, and Claire criticizes him for hiding his gray hair. The manager often thinks of Claire, who suffers from agoraphobia, especially after she hands him the keys to her villa. Virgil's assistant believes that people, like gears, rub together over time, despite initial obstacles. The manager often thinks about Claire and calls her to consult about unimportant trifles. When Virgil learns that the girl has not received groceries for a long time, he decides to intervene and help her. The manager asks Claire to open the door when he realizes that she has become ill. However, the girl tearfully refuses and asks not to break down the door to her. For Claire's sake, the manager decides even to acquire a mobile phone to be able to contact her at any time. Virgil, who has never had a close relationship with the opposite sex, is very reverent towards the stranger, whose face he has never even seen. Soon, the manager makes an inventory and agrees with Claire. The girl asks to be called by her name and also admits that she would like to sell the house, but even the very thought of moving scares her terribly. Virgil slams the door loudly, but doesn't leave, hiding behind the statue. The manager manages to see Claire for the first time in her life, who thinks that no one is observing her. Virgil again finds many parts from the automaton in the basement. Billy, meanwhile, buys back the lost miniature to regain his friend's trust. The manager once again arrives at the house and realizes that the locks have been changed. Later, Claire explains that she changes them every 6 months and gives the manager new keys. The girl says that panic attacks in open spaces have haunted her since childhood. Claire remembers a small restaurant in Prague where she used to go on a school trip. It was the only place where the girl felt at ease, and even now, she longs for this place. On Claire's birthday, the manager decides to give her a present. The assistant advises Virgil to give her flowers. The manager does so, but Claire becomes very hysterical and quarrels with him. Later, the girl calls Virgil back and apologizes for her behavior. Claire says that she has never been given flowers, and all her birthdays have been awful. The girl asks Virgil to come and talk to her. The manager stays for a while and then decides to hide behind the statue again. Observing Claire, Virgil drops his phone and scares the girl badly. When the manager runs away, Claire calls him and asks him to come over. A nervous Virgil admits that he was the one in the house observing the girl. Claire chases the manager away, but then asks him to come back. The girl finally decides to show herself to Virgil. The manager shares the news with his assistant, believing that Claire was as beautiful as a painting. The guy advises Virgil to surprise the girl. The manager gives Claire dresses and cosmetics. At first, the girl is embarrassed by the gifts, but then becomes hysterical. It seems to Claire that the manager thus prepares her for the fact that soon she will have to go out of the house and quarrel with people. Hearing this, the assistant says that their steps were apparently too hasty. Virgil reckons the lad will understand Claire quicker than he does himself. The manager arranges a dinner at the girl's house and discreetly hides his assistant behind the statue. From there, the boy observes the dialogue between Claire and the manager. Virgil tells her that he lost his parents early and lived in horrible conditions in an orphanage at the convent. After dinner, the assistant says that the steward communicates well with Claire and has made a contact with her. However, Virgil soon learns from the assistant's girlfriend that the assistant is going on and on about some charming Claire. The manager is angry with the guy and decides to suspend him from working with the automaton. Virgil prepares for an auction with Claire's belongings and shows her the pictures. The girl responds by taking Virgil to her secret room, where they kiss for the first time. It is there that the manager discovers the missing parts of the automaton. Virgil puts up with the assistant and decides to return the automaton and the parts to him. The manager buys a ring and goes to Claire's with it. To his surprise, the girl is neither at home nor in the garden. Virgil learns from the visitors of the cafe that the girl left the villa early in the morning. The manager organizes a search, but all in vain. Virgil is forced to interrupt because of the auction. All the participants notice that the manager is very anxious, disheveled, and clearly not thinking about the works of art. Instead of describing a painting, Virgil reads about a chest of drawers, which makes the attendees laugh. By evening, Claire still hasn't turned up, but the manager refuses to call the police so as not to draw unnecessary attention to himself. He is very worried and even shares his worries with Billy. His friend advises him to be careful because any feelings can be faked, even love. Virgil decides to check the house again and finds another secret room in the attic. That is where Claire was hiding. The girl tells that she was in Prague together with her beloved man. On their way home, a car crashed into them and the guy lost his life. Claire returned home that day and never left it again. Virgil communicates with the deputy and says that he would like to lure the girl outside. However, the guy advises against it. Soon, Virgil goes to the girl's house but is beaten up outside. Claire notices this and, despite her fear, runs outside and rescues the manager. Soon they are traveling together to Virgil's house. Claire agrees to move in with him and also sees the very secret collection of expensive women's portraits. Over dinner at a restaurant, Claire confesses that she doesn't want to sell her stuff. Virgil agrees and tears up the catalog. Furthermore, the manager declares that he will end his career after the auction in London. Soon, Virgil holds his last auction. Arriving home, the manager sees Claire nowhere to be found. Virgil decides to take one of the paintings to his secret room and is at a loss for words. His entire expensive collection that he has collected his entire life has been stolen. Because Virgil collected it illegally, he can't even go to the police. In the corner of the room sits an automaton who says that there is always something genuine hidden in any fake. Virgil learns that the villa was actually rented out. His assistant, along with Billy and Claire, set up this massive scam to get hold of the manager's collection. Virgil spends time in a treatment center to cope with the loss that has befallen him. The manager realizes that all this time, he has been shrouded in a web of lies and betrayals. Virgil has believed in Claire's love like an inept art connoisseur believes in a fake as authentic. Devastated by the betrayal, Virgil still thinks of the girl often. After a while, the manager decides to go to Prague and visits the restaurant that Claire mentioned. Virgil tries to understand whether there was something real in what he experienced with the girl. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.